evening and welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. I'm Tony Rathman.
I am Cherie.
Chris Allgood.
Audra Keeler.
Lourdes Gonzalez.
Ron Yacovetti.
And tonight we have a very special guest. Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence over the last 6 months has been interviewing some of the most esteemed, bringing in the most prestigious captures, and we have a great time doing that. But tonight we're going to show you a little different side. Tonight we're going to show you someone who has graciously allowed Entity Voices to help train her, to show her the ropes, to take her to locations. And tonight that is Carrie Hopper. Welcome, Carrie.
Yay!
Hi, guys. It's
I love this idea for an episode because of all the names and stuff that you just kind of alluded to. We've had so many brilliant people like Ken DeCosta and Daniel Class last week, and folks like yourselves who at some point, Matthew Haas from Strange Oddities podcast, who say they teach other people. So this is an opportunity to learn from somebody who's very good at what they do, but who's newer at what they do. And that insight is not only a reflection of the environment or the climate that we create as people who've been doing it longer, but it's also really a sign of how enthused she is and how much passion she has for it. And that's also important. It shows the right reasons to be doing this stuff.
So true.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So true. And Carrie does and has been doing for a while now the Haunted History podcast, which if you've never heard it, it's a great podcast. There's her and Archie do it, and they do locations. They give the history. They give the paranormal things that are happening there. It's a wonderful show. But Carrie, I think you were doing that podcast even before you actually got involved on the investigation side, correct?
Yes, but not too much longer before. We started in October of last year, and then my cousin Vicky and I had gone on one of the paranormal investigations at Phelps a month later. So it all it's been a whirlwind year.
For everyone, for a variety of reasons, but that's good from a paranormal side though, because I know that you've been down with us multiple times at the Phelps Dodge, and I think we investigated the Gila County Jail together, and some great experiences. And we're going to get to see some of Carrie's evidence tonight. But before we get into that, I do have one thing I have to do first, if I can get the right. And that is, today is my lovely wife's birthday, so we have to give her a little birthday celebration that is a traditional video we play on this show. So here you go, Cherie.
Hey kid, I hear it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you, lovely husband.
You're very welcome. And although I know the day was filled with jobs, work, and garage full of boxes,
Moving.
happy birthday.
Thank you.
We just moved too, and then the All Good Keeler combination is mid-move. We're all really, we're in the paranormal protection program. We've seen shit we shouldn't see. Don't tell anybody about it.
I like the paranormal protection program because that's exactly what it feels like.
That's wonderful. I love that. That's good. That's good.
Also, a quick shout out. Yesterday was Matthew Haas from Strange Oddities podcast, who's been on our show. He's had all of us on his. It was his birthday yesterday also. So
Yes, it was.
Sagittarian.
Yep.
And just so we bring, not only has Carrie been a small part of EVPI for I don't know how long now, but she's also going to be entering the paranormal relocation program because she's moving to Raleigh at the
You
beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So she'll be about an hour
Yeah.
from us. So she'll be involved in some of the investigations that we do down here too. So
That's
super
awesome.
excited. It's going to be wonderful.
That's awesome. All right. Well, let's get into asking Carrie some questions. And the first one I have, Carrie, and some of this I know just because, but our audience doesn't.
Right.
But I already mentioned the fact that you produce your podcast show. But what led you from that into wanting to investigate? I mean, how did that transition happen for you? Was it, did you have experiences as a kid? Was it not till you were older that you decided to go down this path? What's your story? How did that unfold?
It was actually not so, I would say maybe in the last 15 years, I wanted to actually learn how to be a professional paranormal investigator. But when I was little, I had grown up with a story that my grandmother had told me about. She had a dream after my grandfather had died. And in the dream, he was standing at the foot of their bed and he was dressed in the clothes that he was wearing when he died. And he told her, "Gladys, you need to wake up. Nancy, my mom, needs you. Nancy needs you and you need to wake up." And she was confused. She didn't really understand like what was going on, but she knew he was standing there and she knew he was there. And the phone was ringing and that's what woke her up. And it was my mom calling her. At the time, my mom was living in Texas, and it was my mom calling her, telling her she was in the hospital. And I was little, 6 years old when I heard that story. And it was just one of those things that stuck with me for the rest of my life. And then, like hundreds of thousands of other people, when all of the paranormal reality shows started, coming on TV and you're watching Ghost Hunters and Destination Truth. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And those shows have been on for since 2005, 2006. So it's been a really long time that I realized I actually wanted to learn how to do it. And really it was just a matter of finding you guys, really, and the wonderful tours that you guys conduct at Phelps Dodge, and allowing folks to go down there, and you provide them with the equipment and you teach them how to use it, and it was the rest, as they say, is history. But yeah, so it's kind of been a lifelong thing. I've always believed in spirits. I've always known that they are with us, and I have always known that they they can visit us in our dreams and give any kind of messages, and it's very comforting. I think it's very comforting to know that.
That's great. Well, let me ask you this though: has your impression changed by what you've experienced, like say in the last year and a half, compared to what you knew prior to that? Do you have more of a feeling like, okay, I've experienced enough to know, yes, they're there, or is that still in transition, or where would you say you stand on the line between believer and skeptic?
That's an excellent question. It is the very first time, and I caught my first EVP on that very first paranormal tour at Phelps. My cousin and I were in the nursery, and we heard something, and we both hear it. And on the recorder, you hear me ask her, "Did you hear that?" And it was a humming, a female humming. Mm-hmm. And when you had sent that to me, there's that rush that you get when you remember that moment. Mm-hmm. And to find that it was actually validated, and that it was an EVP that you had caught, because at the time nobody else was around us. Like I think other people were in like other parts of the second floor in the hospital, and we hear this noise, and it wasn't either one of us. So there's that rush you get when you're like, oh
yeah.
No. And at the same time, there was a little bit of fear, like there was someone there that we didn't see. Oh my God. But that was when it really hit me that I was like, yes, this isn't a dream. That day wasn't a dream. That moment wasn't a dream. And here's the tangible proof of that. And ever since that very first EVP, I want more. I want to collect as many as I possibly can.
Right. Especially when you know it was just you and her, and you know that you didn't speak or whisper, and plus you said you heard it with your own ears too, right?
Yes.
So how do you explain that? Like, how do you explain that? That's it gets you, and you do want more. You want more. I didn't feel fear. I wanted more. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He loves it. You use a very crucial word that I kind of want to jump on. You said tangible. And that's one of the things that's cool about what we do is that's what's referred to as a PPO. It's a permanent paranormal object. So on wherever the spectrum you are with beliefs, whether you're a believer that it's all crap or you're a believer that it's all real, because skeptics aren't on the outsides. Skeptics look for the truth. They're in the middle. So if they think it's all crap, they're a believer in a different paradigm, not a skeptic, for one. But those things are examinable over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. You can put them to software. You can analyze them, like Tony has talked about before. You can do voice prints to match. There's a lot of options to do, but you can continually go over that piece of evidence. That's tangible. And if you don't explain it after going over it a variety of ways for however long, it's anomalous. And that's something that you also vetted with your process because you knew who was around, you knew your environment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's wonderful. And ever since then, I was like, this is it. The goal now is to actually see one like standing in front of me. And I know that that's like wildly rare. And I know that like it's been captured on video. I've seen some of the videos that Cherie has taken and like actually captured like shadow figures and things like that. But I want to see it all. I want to experience it all. It's
you're officially a junkie like the rest of us.
Like the rest of us. That's so true though. I mean, it keeps drawing you in and it keeps drawing you back and you want more. You want more EVPs because there's that when you come across one on a recording, there's that initial rush and excitement that you're just like, oh wow, and then then you dive into what was said and what you think it meant, and that excitement is addictive, and it's.
And Tony, does it ever get old Does it ever get old?
Never. It never gets old. Ever. And you keep looking for it, and you're looking for that next rush of having
so your first EVP is your gateway drug.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
That's true. That's very true.
Absolutely. Yep.
So actually, Carrie did us a huge favor this year as Cherie and I were out of the state during Halloween, and every Halloween we do tours.
Yeah,
Halloween night in the old Phelps Dodge Hospital, and because Cherie and I were out of town, Carrie was nice enough, having been in the hospital many times. She'd come down, investigate with us. We'd show her how things operated, worked, different pieces of equipment, and she was just doing a fantastic job. She actually led those tours for us over Halloween. And how many people did you have that night, Carrie? It was quite a few.
There were, I think there were a total of 7 of us that night. Yeah.
That's not bad considering the the COVID situation, and we try to keep it under 10 just because of COVID, and of course
it was a perfect amount. It was a perfect amount, especially for my first time out, like because they were all looking to me like, what does that mean, and what is this, and did you hear that? And I'm like, so it wasn't a bad group for my first time out. So
that's awesome.
And I've got to give Carrie some props because the hospital on a normal day can be intense.
Oh yeah.
We've been in there on Halloween a couple times, and man, does it get intense on Halloween. And Carrie was there 2 hours prior to the guest showing up, setting up by herself in the Phelps Dodge Hospital. And that is an intense situation for a new investigator. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Even during the middle of the afternoon, that hospital can be downright intimidating. Even if it's broad daylight out and you've got light coming through the windows, it doesn't matter. And then to be there at night when, of course, the guests left, and then have to pack up, and leave and lock it up, yeah, give her a ton of credit.
I think we're the only ones who have not been there.
Yeah. You better come and visit.
Well, we have that on your to-do list, so no worries.
Yeah. It's
I
on the
have
bucket
one
list.
for Carrie, before we start.
Sure.
Isn't it, Carrie, when you have history with Phelps Dodge as well? Like your family was, isn't it your grandparents was born there?
Yes, my grandfather worked for the mine, and he met my grandmother there, and they got married in Ajo, and then she had her first 2 children there in the hospital, which was the New Cornelia Hospital at the time. So yeah, my Hopper family started in Ajo.
And that's probably the reason why it's drawing you over there at Phelps.
Definitely.
I think so, because I've always had an affinity for it. From that very first tour when we walked in, and then you guys were, giving us the tour, and my cousin and I were walking around and just like felt like we had always been going there. And a lot of my family started in Ajo. So I have a number of cousins that were born in that hospital and family that lived in Ajo. And so there's just a very strong affinity for me to that location.
Wow.
That's
It's
cool.
very,
Very interesting.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was really wonderful, because how many people can actually say that they stood in the very delivery room that their grandmother had her first 2 children in a over 100-year-old hospital?
Yeah.
Right.
Hunting ghosts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just I love that hospital, and I think of all the places in Arizona that I'm going to miss. That's when we move is the Phelps is going to be one of the top 2.
I know.
But we'll drag you up north. We're already trying to get Team All Good Keeler. Things become a little bit easier, and then we're going to try to get Team Rathman to come out too. But there's a lot of really cool locations in the Northeast around here that we would love to share with you guys.
Bring the
too.
hopper.
Yes.
To bring that hopper.
The hopper is in.
The hopper's in.
Yeah, you know what? The future is going to hold some great things for all of us, no doubt about it. And yes, because we are split in different parts of the country, that's going to open doors and travel opportunities. We just need this stupid COVID to go away, and hopefully sooner than later, but hopefully one of these days. But that'll definitely open some doors and allow us to do some exciting things. But but with that said, I want to play one of the EVP selections that Carrie sent over. And these are all captures that Carrie got doing various investigations, all within, I believe all these are within the past year, right, Carrie?
They are actually all within the last 3 months. So.
Oh, well, even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Well, if I can have my wife stop playing with the chat board, I'm going to try.
I'm glad you didn't pause there,
I'm trying
Tony.
to help you.
Yeah. I give a quick shout out to a couple people: Anthony Simonelli, Jeff Kerner, Takuma Rami, Henrietta Rubio, Matthew Haas, Tracy Austin. We have awesome people who watch us. That's
Yes, we do.
your
We do.
audience.
It's
Just
quite intimidating, frankly. These are amazing people.
And
Yeah.
Carrie's usually one of those
always,
watching. By the way,
Yeah.
Nancy's watching. Carrie's mom's watching.
My friend from work, Marilyn. Hi, Marilyn. My buddy from work. Thank you guys for watching.
Chris Allgood is watching.
Yeah,
you
look
know
at
how hard
that.
it is to get him to watch this show.
He's pretty talented that way. Yeah.
Well, in case she said something I forget, I can catch it over here on this screen.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, we do have a great audience, and we are all so very thankful for each and every one of you that tunes in and watches us weekly. We appreciate that. Hopefully you enjoy what we do and the evidence that we bring to the table, and tonight's not going to be any disappointment or exception to that rule. So on that note, let me share my screen because these are audio files, and I don't have it open at the moment. So give me
Anthony Seminole wanted us to mention him too. Anthony, we mention you any more times on any more shows, and we could put you on our taxes. We love the Seminelli, so just say that. We love it. They're an awesome family.
He's a tax deduction for us this year as a dependent.
Yeah. They're a good family. It's a good people.
They are.
Yes.
They definitely are. Okay, so I don't know if I have these in any particular order, and I think one of them, Carrie, actually got destroyed when it was sent over, and I think I took that one out. But
Okay.
I will tell you which one I'm going to play, and then if you want to give any type of background where you were. So the first one I'm actually going to play, and I'm going to share my screen here just so I can pull it up.
Okay.
They were all good. I'm all good. All good.
And the first one I'm going to play is titled Second Floor Hall, The Door Shuts.
Oh, yeah. This is one of my favorite ones. This one is, and I have to give a lot of thanks and credit to Chris, because he's really been instrumental in teaching me how to really connect with the location and lean on my intuition when I'm there. So through doing that and through practicing doing that in the different locations, and every time I'm at Phelps, we are up in the second floor over by the nursery, and we're kind of just doing some EVP work, some EMF work, just kind of, hey, walk up to this EMF detector kind of thing. And I'm sitting up against the wall, and I'm looking down that hallway. And as I'm looking down the hallway, I'm like, there's somebody down there. There's somebody down that hallway there. And that was pretty much it for the experience. But then when I got back and was reviewing the evidence a couple of days later, I captured this, and this was not heard by any of us at the time. So
awesome.
I love those.
Well, here is that EV or mysterious noise.
There's something down at the end of that hallway.
Yeah, no doubt you can hear that. You can hear that door shut.
the door shuts, and I was like, so when I heard it, I was like, rude. Like, obviously.
Let me play that one more time for the audience.
There's something down at the end of that hallway.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's got characteristics of perspective too. And what I mean by that is, you know how you go like this and you can put a whole building in your fingers, and
Right.
so that sounds like it's almost a little bit on the lower side. But if you listen, it sounds powerful, and it sounds like the volume is slightly lower because it's distant, not because it's low.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask a question.
Yes.
Was it an EVP of a door slamming, or did a door slam, by itself? Was it an EVP of a door slamming?
Oh, that's a good question. Did something physical move?
Or did someone?
No, it was an EVP of a door slamming, because
Good question.
yeah, because all of the doors on the second floor were open, and then right before we finished that session, we were going back downstairs. We went and kind of checked the rooms again, and all of the doors were open.
Yeah.
So it was just an EVP of a door slamming, which I thought was unbelievable.
And nobody reacting.
Well, the irony
That's
of that,
pretty cool.
the irony of that EVP is we've been there multiple times, and first thing I do is I walk the building by myself and make sure all the doors are open, or sometimes Tony and I would do it together.
Right.
And there were times where we would open all the doors, come back an hour later, and they'd be closed, but we never heard it. Now, Carrie actually caught it on an EVP, but the door never closed.
Yeah,
So that's
there's no window, no
no breezes in
there because they're all closed.
But that is one of the great things about the Phelps Dodge, is that you've got both residual and intelligent hauntings, which is what makes it so fun, because you get something and then you got to figure out, okay, was this a residual noise, a residual sound, or is this something interacting? And it's usually pretty easy to determine which one you've got, but it sure does make it fun.
So does that qualify as an ENP? Electronic noise phenomenon. I mean, I don't know what.
That,
electronic door phenomenon.
that is a really good question, though. I mean, in that case, since no door moved or was opened or closed, but the sound was there, it's a residual sound. So what that actually defines the noise as, that's a really good question. I don't know that there is a classification down to that level, but maybe we need to create one because, maybe it's a
thing because we've gotten
Oh, it absolutely is. Oh, no doubt.
You know what it is? It's Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence bringing you more breaking paranormal things. That's what we do.
I like it.
Love it. It's great.
Yeah, I mean it's categorically EVP, but it's not a voice.
It's not a voice.
There goes voice.
Yeah.
There you go. Matt Haas says it's an electronic vibration phenomenon.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
Sold.
I like it.
Matt
Is that
Haas
part of that
is
paranormal thing that we talk about? I've had those phenomenons, not ghost hunting.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that's tomorrow night's show, Chris. All right. So I am going to play another one, and this is the same location. This is also the Phelps Dodge, but this one is a spirit box session Carrie was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And this one is titled Look Up. Or do you want me to play the other one first? The mother first or the look up first?
Mother.
Okay, let me play the mother one. So this is the same spirit box session, second floor, and this one's titled Mother. You want to give just a little bit of background on this?
Yeah, so we had, there were 3 of us on one end of the hallway in the second floor over by the nursery. And then there were another 2 all the way down at the other end. And they were doing some EMF work and just kind of going through the rooms. And we were doing a spirit box session. And we happened to capture these 2 different things through the spirit box, Mother and Look Up. So let's go ahead and play it, and then let's see what they think.
Sure.
If I'm on the right track, let's see if they. Yeah, let's let them hear it first.
All right. Well, here's the first one titled Mother. Here it comes. Oh no, it helps if I share my screen.
Wow.
Let me try that again.
Definitely.
Hold on, I got to make sure I'm sharing the audio.
We heard it.
Okay, here it comes.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is clear.
That's
That is clear as a bell.
amazing.
Let me play it just one more time for the audience. Yeah, you can't miss that. That's
awesome, Carrie.
Very clear.
Phenomenal.
Mhm.
That right there is the answer to any time anybody ever asks me, why did I spend the first $75 on a little radio that did that? That's why. That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
very clear.
So not only did you get clear Mother, you've got the tone of voice. You can tell the gender of the spirit that responds through. That is clearly a little boy responding through that.
Yep.
And
No
let me
doubt
tell you
about it.
guys something about Phelps Dodge Hospital. That thing is solid freaking concrete, and you cannot pick up radio frequencies inside that hospital. So an
true.
SB7 spirit box cannot pick up radio frequencies inside that building. We've tried numerous times, and all you get usually is the static. So I'm telling you right now, from somebody that's investigated that hospital hundreds of times, that is a solid voice phenomenon on that SB7 right there.
Yeah. Plus the nearest radio station is
That's a class A, by the way.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus the nearest radio station is
Spanish.
hours away. I mean,
So it's-
Tucson is 2.5 hours. Phoenix is at least 2.
I think there's one radio station down there, and it's a Spanish radio station, and they don't say mother.
Madre.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
There you
Right.
go.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, you can't pick it up in that building. You cannot to save your life.
It's the old Phelps Dodge Faraday cage, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's impressive too, and that speaks to kind of a lot of when we do radio stuff with direct radio. Is it's whatever's coming through is bouncing off of the waves. It's using the electromagnetic waves that are part of the device. Since it's the RF is really kind of muzzled at best, right? In that environment.
Yeah.
So it kills the idea of radio bleed through for one, if you can't even get broadcast.
And it's so clear.
And it carried it in. It used the carrier wave or some mechanism of the electromagnetic wave to bounce off of vibrationally and come through. That's clear. And then Chris said it, the tonality, you can speak to the gender that it sounds like. The word is clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so Tony, you want to play the next one?
Yeah. The second one is titled Look Up. Anything else you want to add before I play it?
I will after you play it.
Okay, here it comes.
Are you looking for your mother?
Towards
Let me play that one again. Did I?
I think that was the right one.
Yeah, I heard it too.
Yeah, it was definitely the right one. I just wanted to bring up the screen so I can see it. All right, let me try that one more time.
Okay.
Are you looking for your mother?
Yeah, it's right at the end. Look up.
Yeah, right there at the end.
It's the
It's
cadence.
quick.
The cadence is faster than
Yeah.
normal speech cadence, like Rodove used to say. A lot of times they'll come in at a quicker cadence, so if you're not attuned to it, you may miss it. That's definitely saying that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree, and you're right about the cadence. That that's very common on spirit boxes. That cadence will be a lot faster than people are used to, and that's why a lot of the messages, like I know when we first started, were lost because we weren't attuned to catching them, and that does take training to be able to say, okay, and then you tell somebody else after you've done it for years, and they're like, "What? I didn't hear anything. That's not even a word." It's like, no, trust me, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does take training. It's something that sometimes almost sounds borderline pretentious. Like, well, I train my ears. 1, 2. But I do that, by the way, every morning before coffee. I'm sharing. But you do learn how, just like musically, or she's a court reporter by trade, so you learn how to listen through the noise. You learn how to discern things and pull things out. And it really is something that hearing is an attribute, right? And you can practice it and get good at it. And I think it is
The more you do it, yeah.
it is a reality. It's sometimes I feel like it sounds a little almost pretentious to say, "Well, you'll learn," but you really do.
You really do.
And you're right. And if I think about half the things that we've used as backup or reasonings for things, you're absolutely right. It sounds like it could be excuses, or well, you can't hear it because blah 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 blah. And you're absolutely right. And I've taken a step back, and Sri and I have had conversations about it. But the fact of the matter is there is a learning degree in being able to distinguish what's being heard, and especially like you said about hearing in between the noise levels, either above, below, or in the middle, to be able to pick them out. And so I don't know how else to explain it without it making sound like some sort of superpower or something.
Perfect, Tony. That was perfect. And the other important thing is that it never stops.
Right.
We're way better at it now than we were before, and hopefully, if we're doing it right, we'll be better at it tomorrow, and so on. That's part of the process. You learn how to do something, you keep refining it and getting better at it. We switched gears and went to direct radio voice. We had to almost relearn, because you don't have the radio frequency, or you don't even have the fragments of sound that you get sweeping. Now it's just pure white noise.
Right.
Interference burst. It's a whole different ballgame. So there's a learning curve to this too. And one of the things I love about this is that clearly Carrie's one of those people who enjoys it so much that it's not a chore to rehearse it and do it. She's passionate about it, and you get good at it.
Oh,
Well,
thank
hang
you.
on, guys. I want to bring up something. So you bring up the white noise in the investigations that you do with your non-frequency, where you just keep it on one frequency and listen to the white noise, and then you get messages. Now, I brought up a couple minutes ago that you cannot pick up any radio frequencies in that hospital, but there's a couple blips of music there. What I'm almost curious to say that you might have almost caught, because there's been times in there where we've caught era music sometimes. I'm almost wondering if that's an EVP also, because I'm telling you right now, and Tony can vouch for this, Cherie can vouch for it, Audra can vouch for it. An SB7, you get nothing but white noise in that hospital. I mean, seriously, the walls are 6 inches thick concrete.
We've built spirit boxes for 10 years, and our hospital is not the place to test them. We have, but they because they work on radio frequency and white noise and everything in between. It is hard to test them there because of that. Exactly what Chris just said.
So I think you caught a little bit more there than just the look up. I think you caught some era music that we've actually heard in the hospital before doing investigations that you can't get in that hospital with an SB7.
That might be. I mean, the entire recording was like about 14 minutes long. So I'm, I'll send it to you, and if you want to take a listen, like the mother and the look up were the two things that jumped out at us. And then once I got back, because to me the look up sounds like the same little boy.
There is similarities in the voice, and I was going to say that before we played the look up. I'm like, is that the same voice? But Ron said it perfectly. The cadence is faster than Mother, so it's hard to make that direct correlation. But they do sound similar. I will agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, and let me tell you what we were doing, and then maybe Ron, see what Ron thinks. So we were doing the spirit box session, and it was me, and it was Riley, and it was Caitlin, and we were at the end of the hallway, and I had my back to the one wall. They had their backs to the corner of the nurse's station and the corner of that other nurse's station there by the nursery. And we had EMF detectors surrounding us. And they were, maybe 3-4 feet from us. And we were saying, come up, set one of these off. And then, so Andy, another member of our group, she and Christy were down at the other end of the hallway, and Andy was filming. And as she was filming while we were doing our spirit box session, and she was taking pictures, she was backing up down the hallway.
Okay.
And as she was backing up down the hallway, that's when we caught the look up.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all looking down at the spirit box. And so Riley happened to see it, and he was like, oh, watch out, you're going to step on the EMF detector. Well, Andy is Riley's mother. And we happened to catch her and then look up, and then Riley happened to look up and notice that Andy was backing up down the hallway and about to step on a piece of equipment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll tell you with 2 words, and then I'll briefly explain. Timing and relevance. So when we do sweeping ghost box, when we do direct radio voice, when there's no sweeping, when we do any of the phonetic boxes, anything, those are 2 of the criteria. Because you can get a word, and it doesn't mean it might be spirit coming through.
Sure.
But when it's timed to what you said and relevant to what you said, and then as Tony often says too, the second word relates to the first, and so on, and it's a collection of a full thought or a truncated sentence. That's validation as much as using an EMF detector and a thermal as things to corroborate what you got. Timing and relevance is what will speak to whether it's an intelligence or not, because if it's residual, it's very hard to time it to what you're doing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
You're achieving in some way, shape, or form a temporal synchronization where you and wherever the other realm or plane is connecting with what you're doing, where it's audible and you're hearing it, or at least the recorder's picking it up.
Right.
But timing and relevance are 2 of the biggest criteria we use when we get something. We get a voice that says something, all right, we'll write it down and we'll note it. That's cool, and it's impressive. But when we say, what am I holding up? And it says pen, the timing and relevance is just way too spot on.
Right.
Yeah, mathematically, it could the probability of that falling in line with you saying, "What am I holding up?" and it immediately spitting pen. The mathematical probability of that's got to be, I don't even know what the odds would be.
My thoughts are is that you played us two pieces of evidence that were awesome, and now you just shot them up with steroids, and now they're really freaking awesome. That's cool. That's
and
really
it can
cool.
bring up a whole different other scenarios, because you never know if you're reaching maybe another dimension or something like that. Like, who knows with that?
Yeah.
Maybe it's her in some other time. Like, who knows? Like, it's a whole different ball game.
I know.
It's awesome. Whatever it is, spirit dimension, whatever. Great EVPs. Great. They were awesome.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to move on to her next one. And Carrie, this is the one that you sent me. You were by the nursery and you said, I hear something, but I'm not sure what I'm hearing. So of course we did what we do with EVPs, being entity voices, and I'm going to play it. We'll see if I know what I'm hearing. We'll see if you can hear it. We'll see if Ron, Lourdes, Chris, Audra can hear it. But here that one comes right now. Now it's quick, so let me play that again. Could you hear it? I can't tell if my screen is still. I'm going to stop screen and start resharing because I don't know if it went through. All right. Here it comes. All right, I'm going to play that again. Now, this one's difficult because there's other noises in there. There's some clicks and bangs. There was what sounded like a phone or some piece of equipment going off right at the end. Well, I took that out just so that disturbance didn't completely pull away from what that voice is. Let me play it one or two more times.
Yeah, it's fast.
And again.
I hear a male voice. I can't tell what he's saying though.
Yeah, me neither. That one's hard. That one's hard.
think I'm hearing "look up" again.
I'm hearing "I see you."
Ooh, play it again, Tony.
Can we play it again? That's my phone.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. That's bad for phones. Yeah, let me play it again.
I see you. Yeah, I heard it that time.
I hear "look up."
But you know what? There's two of them there.
Ron.
Number of syllables, exactly, Ron.
I was like, I hear "look up."
Okay, but the thing is, there are two of them there. There is a louder voice in the beginning, and there's a "I see you" that follows it. So let me play it one more time.
Yeah, it sounds like I can see you something too.
Yeah, I hear "I see you."
The first thing I would do with that,
"look up."
I would try to slow it down. I would try to see if you can catch the enunciation if you slow it down. I don't know if you can do it on the show now, but just an audio software.
Because I think
I definitely have the ability to do it. Just I can't do it.
I think he's right. There is two in there. The first one I can't make out, but I hear that "I see you." So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
there's something before it though.
Yeah.
There's a heavier voice, male voice before it.
Male voice.
Well, I heard
Well, that's the voice we're talking about. I'm not sure what that one says either, but it's definitely there. It's definitely speech, and the fact that let's see, Anthony. Hold on, yeah, Anthony says, "I see you," and then
in the hall, I see
in
you.
the hall. Yeah, he says it. He thinks it's in the hall.
Can we play that again?
Yeah, we'll play it again.
Oh, my ears is bad.
Yeah, me too.
Archie says my roommate can hear. Speak for yourself. Let's play it again. And any of these could be correct. I mean, when you get EVPs that there isn't a complete consensus on, normally as investigators we throw them in the trash. But because Carrie said, "Hey," she was literally sending it to say, hey, what do you hear? She was just looking for a second opinion. But I found it fascinating because it is voice, it is speech. But here it is.
A phenomenon. It's a phenomenon. That's why we have classifications, right? It's not class A when it's undeniable. It's not even almost class B where like you kind of in the same ballpark. There's a lot of varying things that even in the chat like that people are hearing. So it's class C, right? And isn't that's something that Mr. McCrae would say that you can possibly enhance, which I know Tony's a master at. And
there is voice in there. It's just that you can't really...
but then it's based on how people hear and what tones they hear, and so that's what. But
I wish spirit can speak louder.
Right?
And clearly.
Yeah.
This isn't Sprint, honey.
So for all you spirits out there, if you want your message heard, speak up.
Exactly, Brent.
Use your words.
You know what the funny part about that is, though, is that there are times that we've asked spirits to do that, and the EVPs actually come out worse than if it comes across as a whisper.
Well, that's the ones that are jerks, and they're sitting there going,
So you want them loud? All right, I'm going to distort this.
All right, let me play that one more time, just because we've had a bunch of different suggestions on what. Let's just see what else. Here comes one more time.
You know what? I think Simonelli's right.
He could be.
Yeah, I'm hearing that now too.
All right, one more time. Yeah, I think he is too.
Oh my God! You know what I'm hearing in the hall? I see you look up. I swear that's what I'm hearing.
I told you.
I think she's right. I think look up is in there. I hear.
Yeah, thank you.
Look up.
The very first.
I heard in a 3-second EVP in my life.
Yeah.
All right, one more time.
Okay, one more time.
Okay, you can't move when I'm listening because then I can't hear. One more time.
I heard Professor Plum with the candlestick and the observatory.
Oh my God! I'm going to listen to this afterwards. I got to figure. I want to see if I can hear it.
It's a great. That's a challenge. You try to figure out what it is. It's definitely an anomalous voice. That's the cool part.
I do hear in the hall, and I can see you. Carrie, where were you standing?
So here's what was going on.
Great question.
I was by myself in the nursery, and you guys had placed that rocking chair in there. So I was filming it with my camcorder. That's the beeping you hear because I shut the camcorder at the end. And I'm filming it, and I'm asking anybody, Mary or whoever, to make the rocking chair rock. And I'm filming it for a while, and I've got my EVP recorder in the other hand. And I'm there for a little bit, and I shut it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go like over here. And that's what I say. And that's what I captured. To me, it sounds like a voice saying, oh, stay in the nursery.
So who do you argue with over EVPs? Because we all do it.
Archie?
Really? No, no. I actually just like send it to, like, if I send it to Archie and he's like, I hear this, that, or the other thing, my go-to is always, let's ask Chris and Tony.
A good place to take it.
Right?
You don't want to ask Sheree and Audra and
hold up that chart again, Ron. Syllables.
I heard. Let's go to 2 loaves of bread, 2 sticks of butter, and some milk.
Now.
So just so you know, I do play them for Audra, but Audra doesn't even know where the software icon is on my computer. So
I let him do that. I just listen.
Shout out real fast to Will Anglet from Barefoot Paranormal was in the chat. At least I think he's still there, as well as Mr. Philip Wyatt, Adam Nodler.
Yay.
Hi guys.
What's up, guys? Oh, and Carrie, Andrea Langston, Andy is with us too.
Yes, Andy. She was the one that was getting ready to step on the EMF detector when we caught that look up. That's her.
Oh, wow.
She's mother.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. right. Oh, she's got more EVPs. So the next one I'm going to play is these were footsteps that Carrie captured in the reception area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this one pretty much doesn't need any explanation. And I'm going to play this one. This one is very audible, and we've heard this many times in this building. So here it is. That's pretty hard to miss. Let me.
Yeah, it's creepy if you know there's no one else where it's coming from.
Right. When you know you're the only one in the building and you're hearing that, yeah, it tends to send a tickle up your spine or send you running out the door, one of the two. Here it is one more time.
It even has that boot on grit, like dust on the ground, kind of like there's like a roughness to the tone. That's creepy.
Yeah, it has like a little rhythm, and then it kind of stops, and then it moves a little bit again.
Yes. Yeah, it was wild. I was by myself because when I had gotten there at first, Alan, the owner, and the caretaker, Nacho, were there, and then they left, and it was just me. And I knew that the group was at least another 45 minutes or so out. So I'm like, all right, well, let's get everything set up. And I turned the EVP recorder on. I introduced myself. I said, some friends of mine and I are going to spend some time with you this evening. And I said, I'm just going to set this here. I'm going to go outside. And I was outside for about 20 minutes. And I just let the recorder run on the reception desk. And yeah.
Wow.
That's what we always do when we go to Phelps Dodge. We leave a recorder.
We'll go eat or we'll go home or whatever the case may be, and then come back.
We go to Agave Grill, right, Chris?
Yeah. There has been times where Audra and I have left 4 recorders in different spots of that hospital, and cotton.
Cotton.
Now, y'all. We have caught that very sound, but there's a lot of people that are going to say, hey, maybe that's residual. But I'm telling you right now, I've got probably 15 different recordings on my computer at Phelps Dodge by the reception counter of footsteps, and none of them sound the same rhythm, the same pattern, the same grit. They're all different footsteps. So these are not residual.
Yeah. That night I had heard, we had experienced things that I had never, and like they had said, I've been there a bunch of times and investigated. And that night there was all new stuff. Like we smelled blood up in the second floor. We smelled urine down in the basement and stuff that I had never experienced there. It was wild.
Chris, we told you to stop doing that.
Yeah. That was me. Audra was using the haunted bathroom upstairs, and I couldn't.
Oh, I hate that bathroom so much.
She peed and she knocked him over the head and made him bleed. So he's
you peed outside, damn it.
Oh, God.
Too funny. Too funny.
But you can hear those. They're clear and loud.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, like I think with Daniel a week ago, about the collection of data as part of what moves the field, right? Having evidence that you can cross-pollinate and compare. And so Chris is citing multiple examples of something that was caught in the same area that Carrie also just presented to us now. That's a collection of even if they're not identical patterns or whatever, that's footsteps.
That's
In the same building, in the same area, with no explanation on repeated occasions. That's awesome.
Yeah, these are great, Carrie. And this next one and last one I'm going to play is one of my absolute favorites because we were actually with Carrie this night. This was the Gila County Jail in Globe, Arizona.
Yep.
And this one's one of my favorites because I love it when spirits actually say somebody's name. and they do say Carrie's name.
Yes.
And it is very easy to hear this one. And this one, I believe, is in video format. So we can talk about this after I play it. So here it comes. Or not.
Maybe.
Holy crap.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Do it
Yeah.
again.
Let me play.
He's in something.
Yeah, there's more there.
It says Carrie's in trouble.
Yeah.
Clear as a bell.
Okay.
Very
With somebody
clear.
or with something too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something after it. I can't make out what that is though. But let's
It
play.
sounds like who cares?
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. Let's listen again. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah.
Who cares?
Two different voices.
Two different places.
That's good.
I think Chris is right. Chris is right.
I mean, they're being mean, but that's good. Like, who
We're sitting here super jealous because that was one of my bucket list things, and I set the investigation up to go for all of us, and we had to come here to find a home. So Carrie and Tony and Cherie got to go, and I am jealous that I did. I really wanted to go to that location.
Well, it was cool that Carrie came with us, and it was a great place. We got to go back, and I think Carrie, you said something about possibly in end of December going back, and I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, we're doing another podcast event just like we did at Phelps, and it's the same thing that we had done. So 6:30 to 12:30, and we're going to do an investigation with some of the top friends and fans of the podcast.
Cool.
On January,
it's a great location. Yeah, it's a great location.
Wow,
nice. Much better weather too. For sure.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Last time we
went
there,
a little warm when we went, but
yeah,
still
good.
So
for those of you watching that aren't familiar with that location, it was on Ghost Adventures. It's the old Gila County Jail in Miami Globe area, Arizona. And it was actually on, I don't remember what episode it was, but Ghost
Adventures, I believe Ghost Adventures also.
Yeah, Ghost Adventures. I think Ghost Hunters was there too, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
And also Entity Voices.
Yeah, that's right. The most important
one.
The most important one.
Yeah, that's right.
It is a great location, though. And that's an awesome capture, Carrie. And
That's great.
you know, and I can't remember what you said just before that, but I remember hearing that whole piece, and you had said something like, "Oh, you said something like, is somebody in here? Did somebody say something?" And then you're like, "Oh, I don't know." And then that voice showed up right after you said that.
And I think that happened after we had done the EVP session on the second floor.
Yep.
And Cherie was filming, and something had touched my face.
Yeah.
Could you please put the camera on my face? Like I was hoping she'd tell me it was a bug or something. You sweat. There was nothing.
It's an intense experience when you're hoping they say, "Oh, it's just a big spider."
I was going to say something very similar because I was like, it's that when you're like wishing it's a bug. And you're
this is a scorpion.
Please tell me it's a snake. Please tell me it's a snake.
Nothing.
Was it just a video camera? Were you running any box or anything? It was just straight EVP or
that was straight EVP off of a video camera. Yes.
Yeah.
That was good.
Tony, do you think? I mean, I've never been there before, but the area looks like it has a cavernous audio quality to it. Do you think that there may be something to that? Because that had some bold tone
and like a little echoey maybe.
Well, we noticed that same cavernous sound in everything we recorded. We ran parabolic mics down the jail cells. We had individual recorders in the women's section, in the back cell, in the whatever that gentleman's name who got shot.
Kingsley Old, yeah.
In his cell. But it all had that sort of echoey kind of. I don't know if it's reverberation of the.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure where that was appearing from.
It sounds like it's gaining some kind of environmental audio support.
The tone from it. Yeah. What I love about that is that they're interacting with each other. I love that. They're interacting with each other. They're having a conversation about you. It's like awesome. That's
and they're not a fan. They're not a fan. And I'm like, I had my mother listen to it, which was stupid because she hates all of this. But
you're not allowed to leave the house, right?
I know.
Every time I go investigate, she's like, "Don't bring anything home," and I'm like, "I won't, I swear." But I had her listen to it, and it was just you might be able to like question exactly everything that they're saying, but my name is very, very clear.
Oh yeah.
And when Tony sent it to me, he was like, "Have a listen to this and tell me what you think." And I'm like, "Okay, great." And I listened to it. I almost fell out of my chair.
Well, it was very, and Carrie is so clear in it, and I don't remember if I was with you when you recorded that or we recorded. I don't remember, but
the three of us were. It was in the third floor.
I think Cherie was on the other floor. I think it was you and I, or I don't remember, but there was
that awful third floor cell block that was
yeah. But there were at max there were two people in there, and that's a male voice, and it wasn't me. I mean, I was nowhere. I don't think I was anywhere near at that time.
So yes. The cavernous sound that you were picking up. Chris has a question. So let me teach you guys something very unique about that location. There's what, 2-3 floors with the cells?
Three. Well, the third one's now storage. It's more of a
3.
So
there's like a half floor sort of.
Well, there's the first floor, which we never even spent any time because we went right up.
Right.
Then there's second, third, and then I think the fourth one was storage, or third one was storage. I don't know.
So Miami Globe is also a location of a Phelps mine, a copper mine in Miami Globe. Copper, silver, they got some gold out of there. They've got some other ore and stuff out of there too. When they built that jail, the cells were made out of copper and steel. And what does copper generate?
Electricity.
Right.
Electricity. So if you've got that much high energy from spirits in that location with the combination of the steel and the copper built into those cages that they used to keep those people in, any energy produced in that building is going to vibrate and echo through the facility because it'll transfer through that copper in those cells.
That's a brilliant point, because you've got a conductor internally. Mm-hmm. You've also got what the inner workings of, to circle back to before, of a Faraday cage. Faraday cages don't block radio frequencies by bouncing them off. What they do is they conduct them. So by carrying the radio frequencies, they carry them on the perimeter and not permeating what's inside the cage.
Right.
And when they've done that before with putting like a metal rod attached to the cage that goes into the ground, they've had the transmission a la Tesla come in through that way, because it had a ground and it had a means to get inside. So that's part of what you're probably getting to when you don't get radio frequency in these places, is that you have I mean, your car is a Faraday cage. If it did not have windows, it would be a perfect Faraday cage. It would conduct lightning if it hit everything around you and not inside. So that's to add to what Chris said. That's two parts to what makes that a phenomenal location for
nice
capture.
Stew.
Tony, do you remember when we tried to use that spirit box and it wasn't working the way that you had wanted? Is that the reason why?
It could have been part of it. It was doing some really strange things though that I had never seen before. So I'm not sure what all that was about, but part of it could have very easily have been what Ron was talking about, though, about the fact that, the signals were being blocked because it was, that was a concrete building or brick building and obviously heavily fortified because they don't want somebody just kicking the wall down to get out of jail. So.
When something sounds off like that too, we've done direct radio sessions before. The one we got a direct response, I said it sounded like a helicopter. It was very choppy. It was the first time we heard that noise, and then we got a response about a minute and a half later. It said not a helicopter, direct. So sometimes when it sounds off, sometimes when it's off, that's a precursor to
signal.
Yeah,
we probably should have kept it running. But considering how hot it was in there that night,
Oh my God.
I was walking out every 10 minutes just to get air. But
I know you guys take breaks a lot.
yeah, we did.
It was god awful. It was
hot.
and you know, it was middle of August.
Right.
From Phoenix, I mean, middle of the desert, like it was like 110. It was
It
terrible.
was probably the worst time to go in August. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and I thought it'll be fine. It was not fine. It was January should be a lot more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that the activity is going to be more comfortable. I am a little apprehensive because there's very definitely things there that are not my fan, but we'll see what happens this time.
I'm sure you're going to do great.
I'll bet you money any EVPs you catch on that next investigation will sound the same as the ones you caught in the previous investigation because of all the copper and the steel mixed in that building. I'll bet you it sounds the same.
What a great experiment to test though and see if that is truly the case. And I'm sure you're probably right, Chris, but be very curious to see what
that's going to be really exciting. We've also got one of the folks that is coming with us this time is an old family friend of ours, and he actually spent a little bit of time in that jail back in the 70s. So I'm planning on sort of using him as a bit of a
trigger.
Jailbait.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to kind of use you. And he was like, that's fine. I'm like, okay, great.
Again, though, very, very smart thinking, and it just may work, and who knows what you'll walk away with. So that's awesome, Carrie.
And then the more that you go, the better. So you may not have fans, but I'm sure you have fans. So you'll have some, they may really like you, and then the other ones, and they'll try to protect you or defend you or whatever. So I'm sure there'll be a little bit of both. A little bit of bad, a little bit of good,
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
As good as Class A lovers.
Yeah. I'm going to button real quick. Fire Eagle 911.
That's Dylan.
Yeah, I think that's my stepson. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Happy birthday to my best step mom.
Yeah. But we all know what he meant.
We know what he meant. Thanks, Dylan.
Love you.
Hey, you know what? This is also important, I think, too, to point out now, to circle back to the very beginning of the show. We were talking about how Carrie's a year and change into this and the shaping and teaching of somebody new. Chris just gave a perfect example of how you do that. He gave a theory. He gave an experiment to try. You've got something to build on it now. Here's what you go back and do. You see if these elements in the environment produce something similar based on what's there and how it works. And that's part of how we teach what we know. We don't know everything, but we learn and we experiment and we have experience and we try and we fail several times, and that's how you learn. But that's an example of what we were talking about in the beginning, what he just did. That's how you suggest ways for people to expand their horizons and try different things.
Yeah, that was great, Chris. And now my curiosity is piqued, and I want to see what comes through a second time and see if it has that same tonality and echoey sound effects to it. But very curious.
We got 2 spots left.
Well,
there you go.
Just might happen. But anyway, we are about 10 after the hour. So I want to say thank you to all of our audience that tuned in tonight. I can't name you all off. We tried to mention some of you. If we missed you, I deeply apologize, because we are thankful for each and every one of you that tune in. Yep. Secondly, Carrie, thank you so much for taking the time to allow us to talk with you, review some of your great evidence captures. Keep up the fantastic work. You're doing a great job. Like you said, it's addictive. And once you start, it's hard to break that path. And we're living proof of that after Yeah.
Yeah.
We just keep going.
Always. Yeah, it's you guys are the best mentors. I really could not have asked for better teachers, and you guys have turned into we've developed into really wonderful friends, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And this show and all of your guests, God, you guys have such amazing guests, and you have such fascinating conversations that when I watch it, I'm like writing it down, because then I'll recap on the podcast that week, and I'm like, okay, so let's updates and announcements and on Entity Voices show this week, and really,
well, thank you. We greatly appreciate that. But you're right. One of the best things about any of this is definitely the people you meet, the connections you make, and the lifelong friendships that develop from it, and that can't priceless. That is absolutely priceless, and above and beyond anything that's discovered within the paranormal. That's life, and you can't spend it any better than with good people and good friends. So
exactly.
We agree.
Very well said. Yep.
Very well said.
Shout out the name of your podcast, Carrie. Let us hear it.
It's History of a Haunting.
And what is that on a particular day, or do you do it based on?
Yes. So new episodes are released on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. Arizona time. And yeah, we're Apple Music and iHeartRadio and Stitcher, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music. We're everywhere. Yeah. So we got a lot of fun locations coming up, and we have actually a new recurring guest host that's joining us. Our friend Laura Ackerman is actually going to be bringing a skeptic's perspective to the show.
Oh, cool.
So I'm excited.
Not a bad thing to have.
No?
Not a bad thing
to have at all.
Yeah, and I think that, like you were saying, Ron, and you had said that in a few episodes ago, that skeptics are not the same as a non-believer. A non-believer is never going to listen to anything you have to say, no matter how logical it is.
100%.
And so Laura's a skeptic, and I think her perspective is going to be wonderful. Plus, it's going to challenge me a little bit, so that I can start to present my haunting portion in a different way, and like present it to her as evidentiary, instead of just sort of like, telling somebody else's experience, and maybe she's not looking to be sold on anything, but she does want a little bit more evidence of it. And so it's a challenge to me, and help me hone my investigator skills to be able to explain different phenomena. So I'm excited. It's going to be wonderful. Plus, her sass and her snark fits in so well with her.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's awesome.
Fun.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, Chris, you want to? I think we've covered. We covered everything. Chris, you want to give our closing line for tonight?
If you got to stay haunted with History of a Haunting podcast, guys. Stay haunted. Have a good week.
Night.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, guys.